All right, guys, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of chapter 6. So let's get started. Okay, so part 2 actually talks about the differences between ser and estar. Ser means to be, and estar also means to be. So, how can you tell the difference? Well, first, let's talk about the conjugations. Ser has the same number of conjugations. Soy, eres, es, somos, son. And estar has estoy, estás, está, estamos, están. Okay, so these are the conjugations. But when do you use them? So ser, when you talk about ser, it means something permanent or, something permanent. And estar is something temporary. Oh no, I don't know what I did. Temporary. That's what it is. Or location. Okay. Ser has many different ways that you can use it. So, for example, you have one to identify people. So, identify. So, you can say, María es estudiante. That's identifying that Maria is a student, right? You can express origin. So this could be like, Suje es de México. That's never going to change. That's why this is permanent, because me being from Mexico, even if I go live in China, it's not going to change. Same as me being a student or Maria being a student. It's not gonna change overnight. That's why it's under the permanent side. What I mean, it's not gonna change overnight. It's like, you remember how in the beginning you learned ¿Cómo estás? And I'm sure you've heard that many, many different times. So it's like, how are you? What I'm asking you is, how are you right now? So, for example, if I say estoy bien, that means I'm currently okay. But this can change very quickly. If I go outside and stub my toe, this can change very quickly, and I can go from being fine to being mal because I hurt my toe, right? So then that's why this is temporary. And it also deals with location. So another permanent thing about ser would be like the material something is made. So material. So la bolsa, which means purse, es de, it's made of cuero, which means leather in English. So the thing is that the bag being made of leather is not going to change. It's a permanent state. Does that make sense? So again, we go back to the permanent part, that stays, that makes it permanent or for a very long time. Another one is to express possession. So I can say, el regalo, or I'm sorry, es de Carlota. So I can say, el carro es de Carlota. So the car is, yet again, a conjugation of ser, de, of Carlota. That's her name. So that's possession. It can also talk about destination. for whom something is going to. So I can say, el regalo es para Sara. So, el regalo, the present, es, which means to be. And since I'm talking about Sara, it's es. And then for Sara. So again, you have to identify origin, material, possession, and destination for whom something is going to. Also, if you guys remember from chapter 1, it's also to tell time. So I can say, son las 2:48. Son, right here. This is something you learn chapter 1. This also describes inherent adjectives that are basic and inherent. So what does that mean? I can say, Sujei es inteligente. What does this mean? That I am, is to be, right? Intelligent. That's not likely to change overnight unless, like, I don't know, I get kicked by a horse. So the reason why I can say this and it be in a permanent state is because it's not going to change overnight unless I like completely give up. And that's a huge life change. If I got hit by a horse, it's a huge life change. So that's why it's permanent, because unless a huge life change happens, it's going to stay the same, right? And then the last way that you can use ser is to use it in generalization, something that is an impersonal expression that is just overall true. So I can say, es importante estudiar. This means it is to be, right, important to study. Overall, that's a true statement. Regardless of you're in math class or if you're in English class or if you're in Spanish class, it's always important to study if you want to pass tests, if you want to pass classes. So this is a generalized statement that is true. Does that make sense? So now going back to the uses of estar is again to location. To tell location, like estamos en la escuela, which means we are to be in the school. Another one is to describe health or a condition. So, for example, estoy muy bien. That is temporary simply because it can change. Medicine can change. If you're feeling ill, you go to the doctor and it changes. It's not a permanent condition. Does that make sense? So again, not permanent, something temporary. Another one with adjectives that describe conditions. So I can say estoy. Oh, I forgot the Y here. Estoy muy ocupada. That means I am very occupied. That is not a permanent state. It's going to change. I'm not going to always be super occupied, right? Also fixed expressions like estoy de acuerdo. That's just like a fixed expression, like saying, I'm trying to think of one in English, but I can't. But you get the idea. Estoy de acuerdo, which means I am in agreement of whatever it is that we're talking about. And with present participles, which is something you just learned in the previous video, which means that a present participle requires estar plus ando or yendo, depending on the verb. And that means